The recording on. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Potvin. I am your CA Community Manager. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day for joining today's community webcast, Monitoring Health and Ad Hoc Reporting in CA Unified Infrastructure Management. Your presenter today is Ben Nelson, who's a product manager here at CA. I'm sure many of you have heard him present as he's leading our roadmap sessions for UIM. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started. All lines are on mute to prevent background noise. We, of course, encourage you to ask questions. You can do so through the chat panel or through the Q&A panel in your WebEx, whichever you're more comfortable with is fine. So that's all from me. Ben, I pass to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I apologize for the technical issues that we had earlier in the week and having to postpone this session. But anyway, so my name is Ben Nelson and I'm a product manager here at CA on the UIM product. A couple of areas of focus I've been working on is around the CABI, the CA Business Intelligence Integration, and dashboarding and reporting as well. So in terms of the schedule here, we're going to be discussing, first of all, what we've just recently released with the CABI 3.2 probe, which was released in November of last year around CA World timeframe. And so this session is actually focused on the reporting aspects of CABI, not the dashboarding. So in terms of what we just released, we did have a migration tool for all content from the Unified Reporter. So if you're using the legacy Unified Reporter and had any custom reports or out-of-the-box reports that you're utilizing, we can now export those from UR and import them into CABI. So you only have to maintain one reporting system. Now, if you weren't aware, Unified Reporter is built on an older version of Jaspersoft. I believe it's 4.x. And CABI today is also built on top of Jaspersoft, but 6.3, soon to be 6.4. So again, an update, export and export from UR and import into CABI. Now, additionally, on top of that work, what we've done is we've taken all the out-of-the-box reports that were part of UR and we've added them to a reporting module or a report pack that can be installed on top of CABI. These reports, we've updated a number of them to work with the latest and greatest metrics that our probes are producing, as well as we fixed some tendency defects that we have there. And then lastly, we actually updated the model, the look and feel of some of these reports in terms of branding and just cleaning some of them up. So I believe there's somewhere in the order of about 40 reports there, and we can show a little bit of these in this session. But the main focus of this particular session is around what we've added new. So we've added health reports. So the health reports are very much data-driven, and you'll see this as we go forward. We can pick these in context of a particular device or a particular group of devices. And unlike the out-of-the-box reports that we've migrated from UR, which are defined against some static metrics, the health reports are completely data-driven based on the unions of collected metrics for the context you've selected. And then on top of that, if that's just not enough and you want more granularity, more control, ability to change the visualizations, we have added a metric ad hoc reporting capability, and I'll do a demo of this as well. So the health reports, as I mentioned, we can apply the health reports to two different contexts. One is a single device. With a single device, you have an at-a-glance report. We can give you a quick demo of this in terms of you can look at from a device from a server perspective or a network perspective. And what we're showing here on this particular slide is the configuration options you have for each one. And on top of that, for a device, we can also show a trend report. In the trend report, you get to select 1 to 1 number of metrics specify the sort order, the device, time range, etc. And moving on from the single device context trend report, we have a group context. So when we go into a group context trend report, this will be based off of the group membership, and you can choose to select all the devices in that particular group or a subset of those devices. And similarly, you can also specify which metrics you want to include on this report and the sort order, and how you want to view this. Do you want to group them by the device or by the metric? And again, we'll cover all these coming up in the demo here shortly. Lastly, we have the Topend Report. Again, it's another group context report. So you select your group, and we then optionally select one number of metrics, specifying which is our primary sort metric, and then whether we want to sort ascending or descending. So, and it's worth noting that in CABI, all of these reports can be scheduled. They can be delivered via email or placed on a local drive on a server or a FTP to a particular server. And the export formats, as you'll see, there's a number of different export formats from PDF, Word, PowerPoint, some images, etc. So all these can be exported and can also be scheduled. So ad hoc reporting. So in some of the earlier versions of CABI, we added an ad hoc reporting layer that covered devices, groups, and alarms. So you could do very sophisticated ad hoc reporting against those data sets. We also had what we were calling a QoS topic, CORS topic, and the CORS topic only supported a single device and a single metric against a single configuration item or CI. So it's fairly limited what we could do there. Now, going forward, we've added the support for a metric topic, but the metric topic is very similar to the reports we were just talking about, where it's data-driven. So you pick a single device or a group of devices and then one-to-one number of metrics, and then slice and dice that data however you wish. It's actually incredibly powerful because it's effectively a data abstraction layer between you as the reporting end user and the UIM data model. So the UIM data model, I don't know how familiar people are with the data model, but it's incredibly complicated, and it's optimized for write. And we have the hourly metrics, the daily metrics, and the raw metrics going into different tables. So creating reports to go to all three tables is complicated, and then the other complexity there is that the table names themselves are dynamically created as and when a metric is collected. So there's no consistency there. So again, what we've added is a Java layer that abstracts that from you as a reporting end user, and we can cover that one. So that's incredibly powerful with what we can do there. So just to give a visual on what this looks like, at the bottom of the slide here, we have the UIM database. We have a middle layer there with the metrics topic, QoS topic, and the domain. These are the data abstraction layers on which we can then build what Jaspersoft call an ad hoc view, and from the ad hoc view, we can create reports. So those of you that are unfamiliar with this may be a little complex, but I'll walk through it in the demo here shortly. So, assuming there are no questions yet, I'm just going to go straight into the demo. I've got some sample demo flows, and I'll just walk through what we're going to see. So, number one, we're going to take a look at a group trend report, where we're going to report against a group of devices and 3 different metrics, and we can take a look at the various options that we have there. Number 2, we're going to take that group trend report that we specified originally and then change it to a a group biometric, and we'll show you how we can do top end, bottom end type reporting with this, and how it can then save this configuration for reuse. Number 3, we're just going to do a standard top end report here, and it's very similar, except here we're just going to pick the group and the particular metrics and run a top end report. Now, I've just seen here that I've got a question here from Dan Blanco. The question is, are these screenshots from 851 or 9.x? All these screenshots that we're looking at are from 851 with CABI 3.2. So this is available. Everything that we're going to show today is available today. It was released in November. Number 4, we're going to take a look at the device at a glance report, which just gives you a quick snapshot of the health of a particular system. And then finally, we're going to go into the metric ad hoc reporting. Okay. So I'm just going to share my web browser here. Melissa, quick question. Can everybody see my browser, and is the screen resolution okay?
I can. A little small,
Great,
but I can
thank you. A little small. Yeah, I'm not sure there's much I can do there. So just to set the context here and set the stage, what we're looking at right now is the new operator console UI is coming with 9.0. The reason I'm showing you this is because I'm demoing this from our UIM SaaS environment, which was released sometime last year, late last year. The reports themselves do work in UMP, and we do have a CABI portlet in UMP, but I'm just doing this for the purpose of showing this the direction of where this is going. All the functionality that I'm about to show you exists with 851 and UMP and USM, etc. So we're just showing you how we're integrating the reports a little tighter into the environment with Operator Console. So what I'm going to do is go down to, on the left-hand nav, the Reports section, Operator Console. Take a look at this. This is a data-driven view of the reports that are in the Jaspersoft library. So as you install new report packs or create custom reports, this will populate from that context. So you can see what I'm looking at here is a number of the reports that were added as part of the UI report pack. So if I just, for example, click on servers here, and we can say servers by this capacity. I just run this when I do servers by this capacity. Not a lot of options, but it just gives me my top end number, my time period, and there we can see a particular server and its respective disks. And so it's just a simple example of an out-of-the-box report that we have with this. Again, there's no configuration. It's hard-coded for a particular metric, and all your options really are is what your top end number is and then your time period. Like I said, we have about 40 of these in terms of, and they're all grouped logically: application, database, network, servers, service desk, and virtualization. Well, the focus of this presentation really is on these health reports that were added last year with CABI 3.2. As I mentioned, we have two contexts. We have a device context, and we have a group context. So the first report I want to show you here is the group trend report. So enter into the group folder and run the group trend report. When I run the group trend report, it'll open a new tab, and it's going to, the first option I have here is to select my group. So I have a group here set up called Exchange. and I've only got 4 devices. It doesn't really matter whether I have 1,000 or 4. Just for the purpose of this demo, I just kept it short and sweet. And you can see when I select my devices here, it populated this metric list. So the union of the metrics from these 4 devices is listed below the flat list, and I can search. So I want to add CPU usage, disk usage, percent, and then lastly, memory usage. So what I've done is I have 33 metrics available. I've selected the 3. My aggregation level, we're going to leave it at device. There's a few reasons why. We can either aggregate the data at the device view, or we can aggregate the data at the CI. So examples of that, if we have, we're monitoring a device with 2 disks, and one disk is 90% full, and the other is 10% full, the average at the device will be 50%. If we want to go down to individual disks, we would change our aggregation level to the component or the CI. How we want to group the data, we're going to group by the device. If I have 4 devices selected, that means I will get a 4-page report, 1 page per device. How do we want to sort it? Do you want to sort ascending or descending? Which is our primary sort column? I'm going to leave it at CPU. So you can change that if you want to sort by CPU, disk, or memory. And then what do we want to display in our report? Do we want to just display the chart or the table or both? Again, this is a trend report, so you'll see what this looks like. So if I just hit apply here, it's going to run the trend report now. And again, I've got it set for 24 hours for 3 different metrics. Now, this is the union of the metrics. So if a metric is missing for a particular device, it obviously won't show up here. So it looks like we don't have disk usage collected against this particular device. What we can see here is we have a line for memory usage and a line for CPU usage, and then the current average, the max, the min, and the standard deviation there. And you can see I've got this. I have a 4-page report, one page per device. And I guess this is the only device that we have disk usage collected on. So you can see now we've got all 3. There is the ability here to save this as configuration and give it a named configuration. And then also you can schedule these. And just to prove it, just to illustrate that we can then export this as a PDF file or as an Excel doc, etc. Do we have any questions, Melissa, on this?
Do not see any questions yet.
Okay, great. So just the next option I just want to show in this particular report is how we can change our view, and instead of grouping by device, I'm going to group by metric. So we have 3 metrics selected, and when I choose to group by metric, fairly subtle, but let's say we have a Topend number now. Admittedly, I've only got 4 devices in this particular group. If it was 1,000, I could say group by metric can show me the top 5 by CPU, disk, and memory in this particular group, and we can specify the top 10 value, top 5, top 10, top 100, etc. If I just change it, you'll kind of see how the report mutates a little bit to particularly interesting report when we're looking at memory usage. It's fairly flat here, but you can see we have the chart which shows the current trend, as well as a table that shows the actual devices sorted by usage. So we can see this TIX Demo 07 device. We have a memory usage of 38.55% and sorted descendingly. And as I said, we've got 3 pages, 1 per metric that I selected. So I've only got 1 device that's collecting disk usage. If we look at CPU usage, you'll see a little more variance here. And again, sorted by Topend. We can sort by ascending. We want to look at for ascending. So if I change this and look at the ascending version, you'll just see we now have our first TIX Demo 04 with 0.95% CPU usage. So this is, this is useful if we're trying to look for underutilized resources, particularly with the cloud, where we care about the resources we're paying for, so we can start to identify underutilized resources as well as the traditionally overutilized. So next up, I'm just going to create a similar concept, but we'll run a Topend report. Topend report is a little simpler than Group Trend report. So if I just click Topend report, and here, and again, I'm going to select my group, fixed demo, my time range, and then my metrics. Again, I can just look the CPU, and we'll add memory, I'll add disk. Keep it easy. It's almost identical options with my aggregation level, my Topend value, my sort order, and then which, because I've got multiple metrics selected, what do I want to sort by? Which metric is my primary sort? So here I'm selecting CPU usage as my primary sort. And you can see, you just get a simple Topend report with CPU usage sorted by CPU usage. We switch to, let's see, we switch to sort by memory usage, you'll see how it just adapts. And again, you can specify as many metrics on this as you wish. Okay, so like I said, this can be saved as a configuration, and it's also can be scheduled and delivered by email, etc. Next up, I want to show you the at-a-glance report in the context of a single device. So if we go back to our health reports, I can navigate to device. If I click on the device, I'm going to pick on the at-a-glance report here. So this time I'm not selecting a group, I'm just selecting a single device that I can search Tix demo 04. And in terms of scale, I just wanted to point out that this particular database is monitoring about 6,000 devices, so it's not a tiny database either. I'm just wanted to point that one out here. So I've got Tix demo, I'm looking at the last 24 hours, and we're going to look at it from the service perspective. So if I hit apply, you can see we just get a quick at a glance, and effectively it's a heat map broken down by CPU, disk, and memory. And you can see, for example, with disk, we have multiple partitions being monitored. It looks like we have 4, and you can see the utilization per partition. Similar with CPU, if we're monitoring individual CPU usage, we would have seen a row per CPU. In this example, if I'm only monitoring total CPU usage. And then again, the same with memory. So this is, again, a quick at-a-glance report of a particular device. And again, these can be exported, scheduled, etc. Okay, so lastly, I want to show the metric ad hoc reporting. This is my favorite topic actually on this particular, because it's incredibly powerful what we can do here. I'm just going to log into the CABI homepage. And again, this is available right now on top of 8.5.1. This isn't anything to do with 9.0. When we hit create up here on the toolbar, we can create what we call an ad hoc view. With an ad hoc view, we're going to select our data source. So as I mentioned, we have a UIM domain, which is used to build reports against alarms, devices, and groups. And we also have single QoS topic, which just allows you to create a report for a single device, a single configuration item for a single metric. And then what we just released is the metrics topic, which is incredibly powerful in terms of what we can do with reporting against UIM collected metrics. I'm going to select the metrics topic. It's going to be a very similar interface to what I just showed you with the group trend reports. So first of all, I'm being asked what's my time range. I'm just going to keep it simple. Let's say 3 days. Actually, let's do a week. 1 week of data. and what my aggregation type is. So I can specify my aggregation type. And this is the bucketing of the data. So do you want to look at the raw data, or do you want to allow, you want to look at default aggregation? So what we do here is, depending upon the time window we're looking at, we bucket the data into logical times. Otherwise, it will get too many raw data points. And, so for performance reasons and readability of a report, we recommend selecting default aggregation. And then just like the other reports, we're going to select our group context. I'm going to reuse the same one. We'll just look at that demo. And just like the other reports, I can choose to use it to run this against all devices or an individual device. And then with my metrics, it's the exact same what we're looking at. So if we keep for consistency, I'm going to do CPU usage, percent, and then memory. Usage. Memory usage percent. And lastly, I'm going to pick disk usage percent. So we've got group selected, the device context, and what my metrics are, as well as specified 1 week in default aggregation. So if I just hit OK here, when we've done this, we've given 3 options of what type of report we want to create. So if we can look at just the raw data, or we can do some charts or cross tabs. So just to show you kind of what this looks like as raw data before we go into creating some pretty charts. I have down here the sample value. If I drag the sample value into my column here, and then the metric name and the device name and the date, the sample time, we'll start to see this is effectively what UIM collects as data. I can change that format to go down to second resolution. And if we just do full data, you'll see I've got 3 days worth of raw data, which I could then export to a particular spreadsheet. So again, this is effectively what UIM collects. Now we want to probably just go create some charts off this and do some a little bit more intelligence. But the reason I'm mentioning this is there has been a common ask of how do I get the data out of UIM. Now we can export this to a CSV file and import it somewhere else straight from here. Just as a quick example of how you can do some of this stuff. But for the purpose of this, UIM's metric data lends itself great to time series visualizations. So I'm just going to remove these assets from the chart. So on the left-hand side here, we have our field selection available. So you can see we have the metric name on the QoS name, the metric unit, device name, the group name, etc. What probe it was collected from, what the origin is, what the metric type is. And then at the bottom, we have what we're calling measures. So sample value is the unit. And so when we drag sample value on here, what it's going to do by default is it's going to sum the total of all those metrics. Now, obviously, we really probably care about the average. So we're looking at, we have an average of 12.54. Particularly interesting, so we need to then start to break this down by different values, by different dimensions. So if we add on here the device name, and then we can now zoom into device, we have now 4 columns, 1 for each device. We've got an average, but don't forget we have 3 metrics here. So if we zoom in the metric name, and that now can zoom to the next level, and we have a bar chart per metric. Again, it's not very readable, and again, UIM is a lot of these time series data, so we may want to change our chart type to a time series chart. So we have a number of chart types available out of the box. Time series, you can do a line chart, spline, and then stacked area charts. click a spline chart here. And what it's asking me for now is time series chart require a date time field in this rows area. So if I just grab the sample time and drag this in here, you can now see that we've added, we have a line for each device and for each metric. So it's going to be kind of cluttered here, what we're looking at. So it's easy to start adding filters to this. So I can create a filter on a particular metric name, and if we just want to look at CPU usage here, I can now I'm just looking at 4 lines, one for each CPUs. Okay. There's lots of options. I could go into great detail on this, but I don't want to overwhelm everybody, but we can start looking at different visualization options. So for example, with CPU, we may want to look for identifying hotspots based on time and device to see where are we overutilizing or underutilizing resources. So a simple example would be just to change our chart type to a time series range map, and this is going to tell me that it requires just one measure. So I'm going to remove metric name from this particular chart, and then when we zoom in here, I can now get this to so for each day, for each device, you can start to identify hotspots. We change this to change the grouping to be hour by day. You start to see changes to a time series heat map. And remove the device name. You can start to see we can get some particular interesting data set. Actually, you can start to see how we can look for repeatable patterns. You can identify where we're overutilizing or underutilizing resources based on hour of day. I'm only looking at a week's worth of data here. If we change it out to a month, to 1 month, we should start to see some more interesting data, hopefully. Well, not particularly. But hopefully everybody gets the idea here in terms of what we can do with this in terms of creating some fairly sophisticated reports against configurable metrics and configurable visualizations, and we can save this report and we can go ahead and schedule it. So what I'm going to do here is just let me change this back to a time series chart, and we'll add the device back. And zoom in. We have our CPU usage report for a month. And then I'm just going to save this and create the report and show you how we can, this is my sample CPU usage report. Hit save. And just navigate down to the user folder here. I just wanted to show you now how I can then I navigate these folders. The last thing I want to show is how we can schedule these reports. Go to view my repository, look in my particular folder here, users. I can see my report here, and I can then schedule this. So I can then create a schedule, specify when do we start it, do we have any recurrence, so I can specify a simple recurrence of, repeat every 1 week. What my parameters are, just going to use some default parameters that we just saved in that report. How we want to output it, we want to output it with PDF, HTML, where do we want to output it to a repository in the server, to a repository in the host file system, or FTP to a particular server. And then lastly, what our notification options are. We want to send it as an email. Do we want to include the report files as zip attachments? And because we've got an HTML report, we can actually include it in the body of the report. So some fairly sophisticated options here in terms of what we can do with that report itself. So Melissa is just telling me here that we have some questions.
Yes. Ben, two of them you should see in the Q&A panel. One came to me privately, so let's start with that one. Is it possible to create summary reports, example, available disk space over a group of devices?
Yes, we could do that fairly straightforward with the ad hoc reporting, where we would pick disk usage, and the context would be a particular group of devices. And if you just wanted a table or as a crosstab, we could do that.
Okay, great. And can you see the other two, or would you like me to read them?
I can't now that I'm in sharing mode. I just stopped my sharing.
Okay, let me read them. Let me read them to you.
Okay.
One question, it might be more of a comment, whether default at a glance can be edited by adding more metrics. I am expecting similar report like eHealth.
So there's a limitation there. Yes, you can edit it, but you have to edit it in Jasper Studio. You do have a license for Jasper Studio with CABI. You'd have to go edit the report definition. It is an item in the backlog to make the at-a-glance report configurable in a similar manner to trend reports, where it's more data-driven based on the collected metrics. But right now it's fairly static, but you can create your own copy of it.
Okay, Praveen, I hope that answered your question. And the last question I see in is, I think this was referring to one of your earlier reports, Ben, that you were showing. Does the data this report is limited to looking at just the raw data, or does it include the rolled up data by data engine?
It includes the rolled up data. So depending upon the time window that you are looking at, it will assess whether it needs to query the hourly and the daily data, and then it effectively does a union of the three tables.
Okay, and hopefully that answers your question, Dan. Just going back to the first question I asked, there's a follow-on comment to that, Ben. The comment is, the report should not show the available disk space per device, but show one line per group with the sum of the available disk space. So maybe just some feedback there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and you can do that. Again, I can kind of show how we can do that real quick within 5 minutes. The space is a difficult one for me to do because I don't have enough metrics, but let's just, for the sake of argument here, we'll do it on against a particular on CPU usage. It's the same concept. So pick our time window, do default aggregation, pick my group, select all devices, and then my metric, I'm just going to select CPU. So if I'm in a cross tab here, I can add as a column the metric name and the sample value and the device name. Man, I'm such a hard time with my mouse. And you can see as we expand this, and if we were to group this by group name and change this to be average instead of sum. Now we can do it. I'm being put on the spot here, but you can do it. You can. That's looking at against all three. If we remove from the cost tab, we'll get the average of, so 7.21 will be the average against that group of devices. So there's lots of things you can do here. It's incredibly powerful there.
Okay, so Geert, hopefully that answers your question, but I can always connect you with Ben if you have some follow-ons to that specifically. I'm not seeing any more questions at this time. If you do have a question, you can use the chat panel or the Q&A panel. Some of you guys did dial in, so if you did and you'd like to ask a live question, let's just pause here for a minute, see if there's any live questions. 6 to unmute, hashtag 6.
Hey, Ben, it's Dan here. So
Hey.
just a question. Hey, so yeah, on my on the community, I know I threw out like a loaded question out there, but I don't know maybe if you could maybe tackle a few of those questions in here. So like when you have a time series graph, is there a way to get rid of that can you relabel the axis instead of it saying sample value? And can you get rid of the sample value out of the legend section?
Yeah, you can relabel this. So I can create what's called a calculate measure, and then I believe you can also change the display labels when you go into a report. In terms of being able to, let me show you if I change this to a chart. So in terms of the format of the chart, you can do all kinds of stuff. So you can change the positional labels, whether you want to show them some appearance. But I'm going to go into this advanced section. I'll bring up this link here. There's so much you can do, changing the colors, the visualization types. There's many, many, many options here in terms of the margins, the labels, whether you want it to be 3D or 2D, get some funky effects, etc. So it's incredibly powerful what you can do if you want to go in there.
Okay, all right.
I'm just trying to see if there's a specific example, but yeah, you can see how it's completely configurable. It's it's actually using a component called high charts. If you look at the configuration options in high charts, it can all be applied here.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Any other questions
from anyone out there? Dan, did you say that you posted something in the community about that?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Then I'll make sure that you see that then.
Yeah, sorry. I missed that one.
Okay, so Ben, anything else, or are we good? If not, I'll close us out.
No, that's it. That's it for me.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate that you brought this to the community today. We had a nice audience here today, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining. There's quite a bit going on next week, so real quick, I just wanted to tell you what's what. So next week on the 28th, let's see, we've got a user's guide to monitoring AWS with CA UIM. So that's happening, like I said, on the 28th. That's Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the 29th, we're having another roadmap session for UIM. There's 2 sessions you can choose from. There's 11 a.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Eastern. So that's next week. So hopefully you can join one or both of those sessions. If you want to attend the roadmap session, just know that you have to register for that. You do so at ca.com/roadmap. Requirement is to register for those sessions. Okay, so I think we're good to go. You can disconnect. If you have any follow-on conversation or discussions or questions, Ben is active in the community. Continue the conversation in the community. This session was recorded. I'll get that published and in the community. If not today, then by Monday at the latest. All right, so I think we're good to go. Everyone, have a great weekend. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.